Okay, guys, like I was saying before somebody messed up the camera, this is the way you define it, okay? This one is the one that's different. So with the decimal point, when you want it 0.5, 2.5, whatever, make sure that this is different than like when they say 2 point. I don't care how you do it, PNT,
It's PNT asterisk.
whatever, P asterisk NT, it doesn't really matter how you do it. As long as you do it differently and that it knows that when you use that stroke, that it's going to come out, that it's known to be a decimal.
And squished together.
Yeah, with the number, okay? That's the way you define it. The decimal with the brackets, okay? Here it's talking about time. You don't really need to do anything with the numbers as long as the AM is defined, okay? So you want to do it differently. You want to stroke this differently.
We use an asterisk. And
Well-
then set it up as a number, I mean as a time.
You can set it up as a conflict. I don't. Just because I don't want to have to choose whatever. And most of the time it's going to know that when there's a number, it kind of goes with A period, M period, okay? I don't take that chance. I don't do it that way. I do AM, PM with the asterisk, okay?
That's what we do.
But, I mean, you can if you want to, whatever. Also, this is a different way that they do o'clock with just the K. 1K, 2K, 3K, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. Okay? So you can do it in one stroke. You can do it in one stroke, which really makes it easy.
That's if you want the word o'clock. 7K is the word o'clock, 7 o'clock. It's really hard for us to, let's say you don't want 7,
Go stand outside.
okay.
Didn't
No.
you say with o'clock? you're supposed to
When you
write
use
it?
K, it's always going to be o'clock. Okay? It's always going to be o'clock.
Okay.
Okay?
But the
So,
word.
It's
right?
always going to be a word.
The word. okay.
Always. If they say 7, I know that most of you guys learn that 7:00 to most people means o'clock. 7 o'clock.
But it doesn't.
So that's why I was always told you never write 7:00 o'clock because it means 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
And that's why I was always told that you write it out in words.
Is it true that unless they say, okay, for example, if the question is, what time did you arrive? Is it true that if they say o'clock, is only when you write o'clock?
Yeah.
So if they say, I got there at 7,
Yeah. Then it would be like that. It would just be that. I got there at 7.
okay.
7:00. I got there at 7. Signifies time. You didn't get there at the number 7. You got there at 7 o'clock.
That wouldn't be clear.
That's what that means.
Number 7.
Yeah, you didn't get there at 7. You know, whatever. That's probably one of the only times that I would begin a sentence with that. With a number.
With the number for.
It's pretty much time that I can think of right now. There may be some other times, so don't hold me to that. But I mean, if they said, you know, what time did you get there? I got there at 7.
Really, you wouldn't write
That
out
signifies-
7 o'clock or 7?
He didn't say 7 o'clock. He
I
said
know.
7. This signifies time. Okay? Make sense?
What's that G?
Sure.
That
Ma'am?
G. See pound G?
That just kind of sets it up as, that's going to set it up as that, the G. means time. Block. O'clock.
I don't remember why, I just remember the house.
That's the way, this is the way that I do it, guys. I do a KLOK with the asterisk, means o'clock. You set it up like that, which means the number, means to set it up. And actually, mine is set up differently. I don't use the G, I think I use the N as,
The count in.
no, because mine are written out. Yeah. So this is the way that it's going to set it up, if that's the way that you like it. It's going to set it up. It's going to set it up like that. When you define it like that, it's going to set it up like that. I don't do it that way. Mine are words, okay? So it's going to come out as words rather than numbers.
And you can't go too wrong, can you, with that?
Huh?
Or can you? Like, if you put everything in words.
What about it?
If you put 7 o'clock in words.
That's the way I do it.
No, you can't go too wrong with that.
Mm-mm. Same thing right here. They're talking about miles per hour. So if you're going to do miles per hour, that's the brief for miles an hour. MIRP is miles per hour. Miles an hour is MIRS. And then that's the way that you would set it up. Just means to put it together.
Was it miles and then the brackets? And hours
Yeah,
and
and then an hour. So miles, bracket, close bracket, an hour.
Okay.
They're just, I don't really know what they're trying to explain right here. If they're trying to say like a 25-pound baby, you know, then it would be hyphenated there. But I mean, all you have to do is go through global, both of these, the number with pound, and hit the dash, and it'll set it up like this. It's not going to define it like that, but it'll set it up like that.
It automatically puts a hyphen in, it says now.
Hmm?
It automatically will put your hyphen in. If you said 25 and the word pound, write the numbers 25 and the word pound, it's going to put a hyphen. If it's set up that way.
It may. This is the way that you do hyphen. Okay? So if you have like that, 1598, that's the way you want to set it up. HF is hyphen. That's the way you define it. That it knows that it has a number, the number, hyphen, number. You have to put them all differently in brackets. Bracket, pound sign, N, which is number, close bracket. Yeah.
Okay, why exactly do we have to do that? I know you said so it separates the numbers or whatever.
Yeah.
So, say we're saying a 13-year-old kid or something like that. So 13 hyphen. Why couldn't we just put hyphen and it would be okay? Like, why do we have to define? I'm kind of confused.
This is just saying that it's going to put it with numbers. That when it comes with numbers, it's going to know to do it already. So
Can you give me an example?
it prevents the numbers from being written out. That's what it's saying right here. So even if you write out the numbers, if you write out the numbers 1, 5, but don't do 98 and do numbers in 98, but you put the hyphen at the end, it's going to know to put the numbers together and that the numbers go with it. And that's why it's saying that there's numbers there. Okay?
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And you asked it to define those numbers in words on 1 and 5. Back in the numbers settings, under anything 10 and under, you had asked it to do in words. So
Yeah.
is that why it's doing 1, 5 in words? 1,
Yeah.
5?
If you set it up that way.
That's what it looks like.
Would there ever be a time when it would be written word 1, written word 5, and digits 98? You know,
Yeah.
like I can't even think of a time that you would ever use numbers like that.
I don't know.
You know what I'm saying?
But if there is, then you would use a comma. You know, 1, 5, 98, instead of wanting it is in hyphen.
Because
I mean,
like that was a date of
and it's
birth,
supposed to go
would be
together.
1, numeral 1.
And they're going to show you in a little bit with the slash, and that's the way that you do it, because that's the way that I do it with date. I don't do it with hyphen. They're just kind of telling you how you do it with hyphen if you want to do it with hyphen. Okay? I guess maybe like a social security number, but with social security number, you know, it's already going to know that you have 4, 5, 6, 7.
9.
You have 9 numbers. So AutoMagic is already going to know you have 9 numbers together. It's probably a social security number, because 10 is a telephone number. So it already kind of knows. So it's going to give you the different choices. Well, did you mean on the 9 numbers, you know, say it was, you know, 329 9898 or whatever, then it's going to say, well, did you mean it as a number, so many 100,000? Did you mean it as a social security number? Did you mean it as a date and you put too many numbers, but you know, here's the possible date that it could be? So it's going to give you a lot of different choices over here anyway in the AutoMagic. But when you want to define it, that's the way that you want to define it. That's the way that you want to stroke it out. So if you're trying to stroke it out correctly, you want it to come out correctly, you want to define it correctly, that's how you do it. AutoMagic's going to help you.
It really does.
It's always going to help you.
It almost makes us obsolete studying that hyphen,
Yeah,
because it does it itself.
yeah, pretty
Or at
much.
least it gives you options to do it quickly.
And it gives you so many different options. So even if you write out the word,
Yeah.
AutoMagic's going to give you the number 5, usually as number 1. Did you mean number 5, but you stroked out number 5?
Yeah.
So it's always gonna change. Did you mean $5? Did you mean 5 o'clock? It's always thinking ahead. So it's always thinking for you. Make sense?
Yeah.
That's why I'm asking. That's why I'm telling you guys to use this stuff and use the AutoMagic things. Just look on the different options that it gives you. It gives you so many different options on what you want to do. Sometimes you don't even, you know, even if you dropped it, but you know that it was dollars. Well, how much was it? Well, I think it was $5. But you just had time to put 5. But you know that it was dollars. They just asked you how much it was, you know? And you're taking a test and you're like, I know that they said dollars and I'm almost certain that I dropped it right there. AutoMagic's going to give you that option right there of changing it to dollars. You know what, he said $5. Press number 2 because that's the symbol for $5. Okay? Any questions?
I have a question for you when you're editing. Do you edit off of your real time? And over here, are you using your steno notes at all?
Yeah, because sometimes
Your steno notes get
it
things.
may have come up in English, and I may have misstroked it just a bit.
Okay,
So it may not
you
have
really
been,
are still using
you know,
it.
maybe it doesn't coincide with what I just tried to, it doesn't make sense with what I did. Well, you know what, I dragged my finger a little bit and added a G.
Yes, and so it came up in real time, kind
Yeah.
of weird, and it's not like that anymore.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, you're doing that. Very good.
Okay, right here, it's saying that like when you stroke out months, even if you put first, and this is the way that you write first instead of an ordinal, it's gonna know, one, you better define it differently. You better know that the month is defined differently. Okay? So I do all of my months with an asterisk. Do you guys too?
Yeah, well, some of them.
You don't need to on some of them.
Jan, Feb.
Jan, you have to because of the name, Jan.
I think I do all of mine with. I think all of mine are.
Well, I'm just gonna have it.
But whatever. As long as you know that it's different, because this is going to come up small m-a-y too. So it's going to come up as a conflict too. But if you have it defined correctly, and you have like an asterisk in here showing that this is a month, Eclipse is already going to know that even if this is an ordinal, and you write it out, that it's going to know to change it to a number and to change it to an ordinal. Okay? So you don't have to worry, you know, about, you know, if you stroke it out differently and you put THIRD, but it was with the month of May, for the stroke that you have for the month of May, it's already going to know to put it May 3RD.
But if you put May 1st, 2014, will it take that ordinal off of there? Like it, because when you're writing a date, you don't want May 1st, comma 2014.
Sure you do.
No,
Why?
you don't want the ST on it. When
Why?
you're writing May 1st, 2014.
You stroke out what they said. He said May 1st,
Oh, yeah, they have to
2014?
say May 1.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
May 1.
Okay.
If he says May 1,
Mhm.
or she says May 1, then you put May 1, 2014. But if they say May 1st, yeah, there's a such thing as May 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 2014.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah, you can't,
In the case where they say May 1st, 2014, you don't put a comma then after first, or do you? You do.
yeah, you still do. Because anything after,
That's how everybody says
the
it.
only time that you don't
Military.
is like if they say May 2014, then I wouldn't put a comma. It's just May 2014.
So whether
But
it's
it-
May 1 or May 1st, there's gonna be a comma after the 1 or 1st.
I always do. I don't know what the exact proper English is, grammar, but I always do. I don't care if they say May 1, comma 2014. Mine is always like that. May 1, comma 2014, or May 1st, comma 2014. So it's always like that, but I don't think either way is wrong. I don't think. But
Just put it in.
that's the way that I do it. Okay, and here's what these things mean, guys. When you were asking earlier about what the G is, T, O, whatever, this just means that you want it written out in words. So if you want it, if you always want it written out, then that's how you would define it, as a word.
Oh.
Okay, I'm not quite sure when you would use that, when you want the number written out as a word, as opposed to, because it's always going to come written out, because when you define it as a word. So I don't know exactly what they're talking about right there. So I apologize for that if it's something totally different. But I mean, even if you stroke out 5 and you go in and change it that you want the numbers 1 through 5 always written out or whatever, then it's going to do it anyway. And you always want your numbers written out in words anyway when you define it, because it already knows to switch it to something else if it's dollars, grams, ordinal, whatever. Okay? And then that just means generic digits. Time conversion, so when you're setting up time, that's how you do it. It knows bracket, £sign means that there's a number in there somewhere. T signifies that it's time, so it knows that it's going to put the colon in there and then close bracket. Okay? That makes sense? Slick? Good. Okay. Digits with ordinal endings. This is the way you set it up. It's going to be the number. You want it as an ordinal. That's how you do it. Okay? I guess they're signifying right here that you can use the U as time. I guess that's what I've never used that as time. I guess that's what they're trying to define right there, is that if you want to use the 1U, 2U, 3U, means 1 o'clock, 1 in time, 2 in time, 3 in time. That makes sense?
Pressed in dictionary, we're in numerals, the lesson in numerals, and I pressed dictionary. I got into the dictionary, and it gives you all the number stuff of the dictionary.
Yeah. And that's what they tell you on that tutorial. You can go through and ask it to find everything that's in numbers,
That's cool.
whether it's written out, whether it's in a number, and if it's written wrong, you can go through there, and you don't have to go through your whole dictionary and try to find, all the ones that are written with W or whatever. It already knows that WUN is a number, and that it'll find it, and we'll kind of go through it in that tutorial or whatever. This is the way that you do the date conversion right here. Bracket, pound, D. So the way that I do date, if they're doing 1/6/98, then I do 1,6,98, and then set it up like this, that it comes up in numbers. I mean, it comes up as a date. And you can even do it at the end. And then I do date, D-A-I-T, with the asterisk, signifying that it is a date. And all it is, it's not writing my date. It doesn't write date in my, it just knows to convert it. So that's just my symbol for that it needs to be a date. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, once again, we have the number 3, we stroke the number 3. What's a correct way to do it? You're going to define it.
3.
T-H-R-E-E.
Huh?
Brace.
3. T-H-R-E-E.
I'm scared to answer. I don't want to get beaten.
Again?
Yes. Brace. T-H-R-E-E.
That's
Brace.
what I do.
Is that it? Anyone else? Take a stab at it? You don't want to get in trouble or what? That's a correct way to do it. THREE, no braces, just 3. It's just stroked out as 3, and it's gonna know that if you put it with anything else, it knows to put it as a number when you want it as a number. But it's always just written out. 100. You want $100? That's their brief for $100. How would you do it?
100 brace
$dollars.
Hmm? God dang, the answer's right there.
I know.
Didn't even see that. There's another exercise down here where it takes it away. But that's the way you do it, $100. On the not needed was you don't need anything. You don't need to put the 3 in there. It's just a THREE, all right? Okay, here's the exercise. If you wanted to come out like that, you stroked it 2 strokes like that, what's the answer?
Thousand bracket.
Just thousand.
Just thousand.
THOUSAND.
Which one are we doing? The first one?
That's what I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's write the word thousand.
Bracket.
Thousand, brace, brace.
Dollars.
Oh, $1,000.
Anyone else?
Yes.
Crap. No, you would define them separately, $1,000 and dollars, wouldn't you?
How are you gonna do it?
Go in the dictionary, ask it to do that.
Anyone? What did you say?
Thousand, brace, brace, dollars.
That's the way you do it. Don't mess with the 50. 1,000, open brace, closed brace, dollars. That's the way you do it because they did $1,000 in one stroke. They didn't write 1,000 different stroke dollars. If they did, how would you define that? Separately. 1,000 written out, dollars written out. You don't have to global them together and define them together. They're 2 separate strokes, 2 different meanings. Okay? Miles per hour.
Miles bracket per hour.
Correct. 1.5.
Decimal.
Yeah, decimal,
Capital.
brace,
We would do
brace,
P,
decimal,
asterisk.
brace.
Correct. Nothing with the 1, nothing with the 5. Brace, decimal, written out, closed brace. Okay? $25 million.
Million bracket dollars.
Correct.
I don't know, it's just my brain.
Oh, like 703. How would you define that? If it was 103.
Just 100.